Anybody who's been in Queens, for the past 15 years, might know of a writer named Nick Hirshon.
That's right.
He covered Queens for the Daily News.
Yep.
Before that, was he at a local?
He was.
Was he
yeah.
at like the
we can
Queens
ask him
Tribune?
where,
The
where
Queen,
he was
yeah.
at. Yeah.
He left journalism and he teaches actually.
He's an author
professor.
prior to this too. Yeah. But he's also a teacher of journalism. Yep.
And he has a new book out called, and people who don't know, Chris happens to be a big New York Islanders fan,
That's
hockey
my team.
fan.
Yep.
And it's a book on the Islanders.
That's right.
The title of it is "We Want Fish Sticks." Islanders fish sticks.
We want fish sticks. It's.
I don't get that.
Let's get Nick on the
yeah,
phone.
well, I don't really. So it's called "We Want Fish Sticks: The Bizarre and Infamous Rebranding of the New York Islanders." We're talking about it because it just came out, and Nick is going to be, I guess, discussing, signing, and selling copies of this book at the Glen Oaks Library on December 8th. So let's see if we can get him on the line. I think he's in New Jersey. Oh wow! Can we actually hear the phone?
Yeah,
ringing?
we're gonna hear this right now.
Is this Nick Hirshon?
Yes, speaking.
Hey, Nick, that's Rob MacKay's voice. This is Chris. We also have Juan Castagna with us from Capuli Mexican Dance Theater. Company, sorry. And we were just talking about your book. First of all, we gave your background and very probably shabbily.
We know that you covered Queens for the Daily News. Did you also work at one of the weeklies in Queens?
Before I worked for the Daily News, I worked for the Queens Ledger for a while, mostly when I was in high school and early college.
Okay.
And then I freelanced a little bit for the Queens Courier. I'm a Queens boy through and through.
Right.
So I wrote for a lot of those places before I got to the Daily News.
Okay.
And he also authored a Forest Hills book, if I'm not mistaken, right, Nick?
Yes, that's right. I had a book that came out in 2013 called Images of America Forest Hills, all about the history of the neighborhood. It's where I grew up. Just kind of telling the story from its development on through to the current day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, tell us about your new book. We talked about it a little bit before you were on the line, and I could not for the life of me figured out why it was fish sticks. I think sticks has to do with hockey sticks, right?
You got to school him, Nick.
Yeah, sticks. What does this mean? What is this? We want fish sticks.
Yeah, that's right. So the name of the book is We Want Fish Sticks, the Bizarre and Infamous Rebranding of the New York Islanders. And it's obviously about the hockey team. And it refers to a chant that Rangers fans used to use to taunt the Islanders fans at the time. So they would chant, "We want fish sticks," referring to the Islanders logo, which looked like the Gorton's Fisherman from the frozen seafood box. So that's why the Rangers fans would chant, "We want fish sticks," clap, 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 at all of the games to try to taunt the Islanders.
And it really was a taunt. I mean, if you were an Islander fan, you were just like, "Oh, why are they doing that to us?"
Did the Islanders change their logo? Did they end up changing their logo?
They did. Well,
they did?
Yeah, they changed it.
Did they get a hamburger or something?
No, they had this beautiful logo. Well, I considered it beautiful because I was around for the 4 championships in the 80s. So I had this beautiful logo. Picture of Long Island, NY with the hockey stick coming across, Islanders across, blue, white, and orange. Just a classic design, very clean. And it fell on a couple of tough years. And Nick can tell you the story, but I guess they thought rebranding themselves with a new logo was going to somehow invigorate the fan base
backfired.
And the team. Yeah, but go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
Right. Nick, tell us about the bizarre and infamous rebranding.
So essentially what happened was, as you guys are describing, in the early 1980s, the Islanders win 4 straight Stanley Cups, and they're riding high, and they have superiority over the Rangers, who are their arch rivals in the market. But then in 1994, the Rangers beat the Islanders in the first round of the playoffs on their way to winning their first Stanley Cup in 54 years.
What year was that?
94.
Oh, okay.
And that used to be the chant that the Islanders fans would use to taunt the Rangers fans used to be 1940, referring to the last year that the Rangers had won the Stanley Cup, because the Islanders had won 4 since then, even though they were a much younger team in the NHL.
So you would go to a game in one half?
The Islanders get swept by the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs. They get outscored 22-3, and the Islanders decide this is a time that we need to maybe change our brand up, do something that's going to be a little bit different and separate us from New York City. So what's some of the distinctions? Well, you have Times Square and Wall Street and Statue of Liberty for the Rangers. For the Islanders, you have the maritime culture of Long Island and this fisherman that they end up plugging on the jerseys.
It did not work out. It did not connect with the fan base, and I don't even know if it connected with Long Island as a whole. I mean,
Well, what would you put? What are the most famous icons of Long Island?
well, you know what? They
Jones
almost
Beach?
got it right. They were so
you can't
close.
have a beach promoting
No,
hockey.
they were so close to getting it right. There's a lighthouse patch, if I'm not mistaken, Nick, on the shoulder, I believe, of the jersey. And I think
That's right.
Yeah, and people loved the lighthouse patch. And if that was the center of the jersey, I think we would have had a maybe Nick doesn't write this book, but the fish stick guy, he literally could not have been a better doppelganger for the Gorton's Fisherman guy. I mean, it was just like he looked like they pulled him right off the box.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell us.
Yeah, and I've made that same point that you made about if the lighthouse was the primary logo and the fisherman was on the shoulders, if it didn't become the replacement that it was, then yeah, this probably wouldn't have been such a disastrous rebrand. But having that fisherman as the main icon, it was just an easy way to let people mock the team.
That is
And
hilarious.
the other thing too, didn't they have the fisherman guy as like the mascot in the stadium as well, Nick? Am I forgetting that wrong?
He had to
No,
cut
you're
a
getting
hole
it
in the
right.
ice
So
to
even
go
before they
fishing.
unveiled the fisherman logo, they had a mascot named Niles, who's supposed to be NY Isles, the Islanders' nickname. And yeah,
I'm cringing.
he was
I'm
kind
cringing
of
just
the
hearing it.
embodiment of the logo.
Wow.
There's a photo of him on the cover of the book, and basically he's this big guy with a red bushy beard and bushy eyebrows, and has a goal light atop his head that's supposed to flash whenever the Islanders score a goal. So he doesn't really look
boy.
exactly like the fisherman. You know,
Right,
he doesn't have
right.
the rain slicker and the gray beard and all that kind of stuff, but he's kind of close enough.
Yeah.
And did they end up getting rid of this? How long did it?
Yeah,
how long did
Yeah, they didn't
Niles
have
live?
it for too long. It was basically the Islanders brought in the mascot in the spring of 1995, and then that was in a lockout-shortened season. Then they unveiled the logo in June of 1995, and they wear it for 2 seasons. So it was last worn on the ice in 1997 until 2015 when the Islanders brought it back for one night only as a promotion to wear it in warm-ups. They didn't
That's
wear it
hilarious.
in the game.
What do they
But
have
in
now?
warm-ups before a game.
What do they have now? Is there
It's like a throwback to like the jersey they wore in the 70s and 80s. It's got a couple of different annotations, like the 4 stripes representing the 4 Stanley Cups, but it's pretty close to the
do
original.
they have a mascot?
You know, good question.
Yeah, they have a mascot now named Sparky the Dragon,
Oh,
and
that's
actually he
right.
came in 2001, and he was born out of the arena football team that used to play at Nassau Coliseum, the same
wow.
arena where the Islanders were, and it was owned by Charles Wong, who actually just recently passed away.
just recently.
He owned both the Dragons and the Islanders, and so that started out as the Dragons mascot, and he was red and black, and then he became the Islanders mascot and turned blue and orange. And he still was at the game. So I was just at the game on Saturday night when the Islanders returned to Nassau Coliseum for the first time in 3 years, and he was there.
What was that atmosphere like on Saturday? It looked pretty electric from the social media post I was looking at.
Yeah, it was everything that people thought it would be. It was a sold-out crowd. Everybody was going wild when they announced the Islanders were coming out. You know, let's go Islanders chants, just like old times. You know, packed concourse, like people who've ever been to an Islanders game or any event in Nassau Coliseum will know what that's like. There was some really good social media footage of people singing along to the national anthem, which was a kind of emotional, nice moment. They did a great tribute video to Charles Wong and also to President Bush, who just passed away.
Oh, that's right.
But so it was a all-around just emotional night. The Islanders fell behind 2-0, and then they come back and dramatically win 3-2. So the crowd was going crazy. There were some issues throughout the arena. There was something going on with the sound system that a lot of the fans were complaining about. It was kind of going in and out, but the fans made up for it, and they had all their woo-woo-woo chants and yes, yes, yes chants, and let's go Islanders throughout the whole night. So it was a great crowd.
So Nick, just tell us quickly, how did you research this book?
So I researched it as my doctoral dissertation. I was a PhD candidate at Ohio University, and I was in their Scripps School of Journalism. So I had to find something that related to mass communication to research as my dissertation, and that's how I came into this logo being a form of mass comm and some of the journalistic coverage of it at the time. So I basically looked at everything I could. I kind of took a journalist approach to this. You know, all the people who were involved in the rebrand are still alive. So I tried to interview as many of them as I could. I ended up doing 53 different interviews for the book. Everybody from players on the team, executives who were in the boardroom making these decisions about the mascot and the logo, the attorney who filed the trademark form for the Fisherman logo, 2 guys who played the mascot at the time, fans, pretty much anybody who had any sort of a say. Islanders broadcasters, 2 members of Islanders ownership groups I spoke to. And in addition to the interviews, I did a lot of archival research using Newsday, the Daily News, the Times, the Post, seeing how they were covering every step of this rebrand. Looked at the old TV broadcast from Sports Channel, which had the Islanders games at the time, and now it's MSG. So I went to the MSG archives in New York City to look at that. And fan newsletters. I had fans
well
mailing me game programs.
Yeah, Nick does not play around.
Pretty much anything I could get my hands on to tell that story.
Did you get an A on the thesis? Did your thesis get an A?
They don't give you an A. You just have a defense that's a thumbs up or thumbs down. And thankfully, I got a thumbs up and got to graduate with my PhD.
Oh, it's like Facebook.
And another question. So, so if these people come out to the book signing on December 8th at Glen Oaks Library, obviously they can talk to you about it. How can they get the book if they can't make it that day?
Well, it's available right now on Amazon. It's in bookstores. I'm already seeing people tweeting about being at Barnes & Noble here and there and seeing it on display. But Amazon is really your best bet. I'll have a few signings after the one at Glen Oaks. I'll be at the Offside Tavern in Manhattan at the end of December, and I'll be at the East Hampton Library on Long Island in January. I'll be at Book Review in Huntington on January 7th. So I've got a whole bunch of other, events that will be coming up. But yeah, it's pretty easy to find it online. You can go to the University of Nebraska Press website. That's the publisher of the book, and they have a link to buy it too.
Okay. Yeah. And are you an Islanders fan?
Yeah, he said that to begin with.
Oh,
yeah.
The
I grew up as an Islanders fan since 1999. I've been rooting for the Islanders.
Now, Nick, was there anybody who was involved in the rebranding that would not go on record and talk about it because they were so embarrassed?
There were several people. I don't know if it was because they were embarrassed. I can't assign an emotion.
Yeah,
to them.
sure.
But Kirk Muller, who was a player that the Islanders traded for infamously in 1995, trying to be one of the standard bearers of this new rebrand. And he had been the captain of the Montreal Canadiens when they won the Stanley Cup in '93, I believe it was. And they traded for him thinking he was going to be this great new veteran presence on the team. And he refuses to report to Long Island for the first few games because, depending on who you talk to, he just didn't want to be traded at all. He didn't want to leave Montreal, but also he didn't want to go to a losing franchise in Long Island. The team and the Nassau Coliseum did not have a good reputation at all in that period.
Not that time, no.
So I wasn't able to get a hold of Kirk Muller. Mike Milbury, who was the coach and the general manager of the team at this time and was a really wacky character, and he's a big character in the book.
Certainly.
He's now a hockey analyst on TV for NBC, and I tried to get to him through NBC, couldn't get a hold of him. So those are 2 of the more prominent people. I mean, there were some folks here and there where I made an effort to contact every single guy who played at least one game in those 2 seasons when they wore the Fisherman logo.
That's funny.
And some of them were just hard to locate.
Yeah. Sure.
They're all alive.
They're living in Saskatchewan off the grid or something like that. Yeah.
Some of them are living in Russia, and they're living in Europe, all over the place, so it's hard to find them.
Well, Nick, you certainly sound like you know your subject.
I mean, I try my best. I mean, the whole idea of getting a PhD is supposed to be an expert in whatever niche. I mean, granted, I'm the worldwide expert in something that doesn't matter all that much. And have the Islanders rebranded in the mid-'90s, but
it's an interesting
for
topic,
better or
though.
worse, you can ask me any question about what happened during those 2 years.
You know what's funny?
Unfortunately, probably know that answer.
The other day, Nick, they put out this jersey. Now it's available for sale right now. Almost like they're pitching it as like a retro kitschy piece now, right?
Yeah, so they had been starting to bring it back like here and there. In 2014, I actually have a photo of this in the book. They started selling the Fisherman hoodie that I bought, and they have a few other things that they started putting back into the Nassau Coliseum concession stands for the first time in 20 years. But now they've been getting more and more. Last year, they were giving some sort of a ticket plan where if you bought group tickets, you'd get a free mesh Fisherman jersey. And then they just announced on Saturday that they were going to bring back the original Fisherman jersey to Nassau Coliseum so you can actually buy it. I think I don't know if it's only the away version. I was walking around the concourse on Saturday trying to look for it. I didn't see it on sale anywhere, but they said they were going to be offering it. I think it's pretty expensive. It's like $190 without name on the back and $250 if you want to get the name and the numbers on the back
Yeah,
of the jersey.
Cal
But
Poly shirt
it's
for much
interesting. They're
less.
starting to warm up to this idea because a lot of the fan base is getting over the past and realizing
Right.
it's kind of a neat logo, or at least it has some sort of a retro feel to it. So there's some affinity for it for sure.
And of course, if you can't afford the jersey, just buy the book, and it'll be the same.
Buy
thing.
the-
You can wear the book.
There you go. It's a lot cheaper to buy the book.
There you go. I like
All
it.
right, Nick, we're over time, but thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Nick.
We miss you here in Queens.
We need you.
And please let us know about other things going forward related to book signings.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate it. It's a really fun topic for me to talk about. And I know you usually do this in person. I was out at my university. I teach at William Patterson University in New Jersey. So today was rough to get over there, but I'm glad that I could call in.
Yeah,
Thanks
Yeah,
a
our
lot.
coming
pleasure to
up.
have you.
Coming up, yeah. All right, Nick. Thank you very much.
All
And
right,
we'll
buddy.
talk soon.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Thanks, for
All
sure.
right.
Take care, guys.
Okay. Well, that's about all. I did realize one thing is that we never introduced ourselves.
Oh, that's a
I'm
good
Rob
point.
MacKay from the Queens Tourism Council. I'm Rob MacKay from
Better
the
late
Queens
than
Tourism
never.
Council. Chris
That would make
Donovan
me
is from
Chris
the
Donovan,
Daily
yeah.
News, which co-sponsors the podcast.
co-sponsor.